Hello, good evening, and welcome to today's episode of Realities, A Moment with Susie. I hope everybody's had a lovely week. I always say that. And I'm going to have a lovely weekend as well. The weather's getting cold, so I hope you've got your coats and your scarves and your gloves. With me on today's show, I have Simi.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Simi. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, our second guest for the evening couldn't be here, so everyone's stuck with me and you. And we should be able to hold the court, yeah?
I'm sure we'll be fine.
Hi, guys, yeah. Recently, I've had quite a few messages from people about divorce and women. And, people have said, Susie, you've never addressed such an issue because there are issues around divorce and women and how they feel about it. And so I had a chat with Simi and we decided, yeah, let's talk about it. People need to know about it. Or basically, this is going to be something to help people build their self-esteem.
Yeah.
Around being in that situation.
Yeah.
And as you all know, divorce is not an easy thing for many people. Yeah, some people it's quite easy and they end up having a divorce party. But some people, a lot of people don't want to be there, and it becomes a very difficult situation that they find themselves in. Like, for example, I have a friend, and ever since she has divorced from her partner, she has gone into herself, and so she stopped going out. And I think one day I had a discussion with her. We were meant to go somewhere, or I wanted her to go with me, and she was like, Susie, I just don't feel comfortable going to events of my culture.
Yeah.
For her, it was about her culture. So, Simi, tell me, why do you think that some divorced women find it difficult after divorce?
I think it depends on where they're at in relation to if they wanted a divorce or not.
Yeah.
I also think very much that people feel ashamed. There seems to be, especially within our Nigerian culture,
Yeah.
there seems to be this whole thing about you've got to have a husband, no matter what. You've got to be a Mrs. Somebody, and if you're not Mrs. Somebody, people don't respect you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why some people feel like that. But at the same time, I think that you should rejoice in the fact that if it was an unhappy marriage,
Yeah.
that you've got a chance to actually find happiness elsewhere.
So basically, they should be looking forward and saying, well, one era has ended, I'm moving on to the next.
Yeah.
And you need to look at it in a positive light to be able to move on in a positive light, don't you?
I believe that. I believe that you need to be able to move on. I believe very much that you need to be able to accept that, not all marriages work. The whole thing about some women is that they wrap themselves up in that relationship and that relationship alone, and they lose their identity as to who they are. And becoming Mrs. Somebody is their total focus, instead of becoming, you're growing in yourself and then having that person's name attached to you and all the good things that happen within a marriage. And I think that people get very scared of getting divorced because of the fact that you're no longer Mrs. Somebody.
Yeah.
You know, so therefore you've got no identity and you've got no place.
Yeah.
And also it's about how the people respond to divorced people.
Yeah. Do you know what? At this point, can I just say to our viewers out there, this is a live show. We would love to hear what you have to say about divorce and women and why it is so difficult for some women being in that situation. The number will be scrolled across the screen, and so please ring in and, you know, let us hear your views. Or if you feel we're saying something that's not right, give us a ring and, you know, correct us. You know, we can't be perfect all the time.
Definitely.
One of the things that have come up from what you have just said, and it's about people not allowing people to move on.
Yeah.
How do women that allow such things to hold them down, how do they move on from that?
I think it's a hard one, really and truly. If you don't feel able to move on, it's a really difficult one. I actually feel very much that life is for living, you know, and so, you know, you need to kind of like pick yourself up, get your self-esteem back, find out who you are, rejoice in who you are, you know. If you don't want to revert back to your maiden name because you're feeling like, you know, that's a disgrace, that you weren't able to make a marriage work, then yeah, keep your married name. Nobody's going to hold you to that.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think it's right to hold on to your married name if?
Me
because
personally,
is it your name anymore? Is it, you know?
People do though. People do. You know what I mean? People do, and I think, you know, for me personally, I'm back to Dabiri. I'm very happy being Dabiri.
Okay, so you've been through that process anyway.
I have, and
I must admit, so have I. Well, let's say it.
You know, and I have,
guess, yeah.
And yeah, I think the whole thing also is about how much investment you put into a marriage.
Yeah.
And when a marriage is about to break up, no matter even if it's the most horrendous experience ever, right?
It's still a loss.
It's still a loss, and you mourn it, and you have to accept that you're mourning a relationship. No matter how difficult it was, you still will mourn that relationship.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're stepping outside that relationship, it's really, really, really frightening.
And can I ask, because I like that fact where you just said the fact that you're stepping out. Like you just said, a lot of women, that marriage is their be-all when they're in it. So when it ends, sometimes they lose nearly every single part of them.
Yeah.
Because everything that they have is immersed in that marriage.
Yeah.
So is it wrong? I don't know. I don't want married people to think I'm trying to, like, you know, say, don't attach yourself too much. Do you know what I mean?
No,
but
I agree
is it
with you.
very important for married people to have their own identity, apart from the fact that they are married?
I think it's really important to have your own identity. And don't get me wrong, I think it's fab being a part of a couple.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really enjoyable experience when it's going right.
Yes.
It's very fulfilling. But I do think that you need to retain some of you, because it's not healthy anyway, even if that relationship is totally successful.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that makes it stronger is that you are a person in your own right.
So you're an individual as well as a couple.
Yeah.
You have to have that individual side of yourself.
Definitely. And I think that, so therefore, in order for you to survive that breakup, you have to go back into who you were.
So you go back to the old person you were?
Well, not necessarily back to the old person, because you would have learnt things along the way about yourself, and you would have grown, hopefully. You know, but you kind of like take who you are, and you grow on it. Do you know what I mean? You grow on the experience that you had. Hopefully you've learned something from that experience.
Yeah.
I think it'll be so, the best word I can use is silly. It'd be so silly to go through a situation and not learn from a situation.
Some people do.
I know, but I find that very difficult for people not to kind of like sit back and say, okay, so what did I learn from this?
Yeah.
Because if you don't sit down and say, what did I learn from this? What are you moving on to? What are you going to make? Are you going to make the same mistakes if it was you that made the mistake?
No, I feel, and this is not to offend anyone, but I feel that some people lose their independence when in a marriage, they lose that sense of independence, and so of which when a divorce comes knocking on the door, it's like, whoa, how do I cope? Where do I start?
Yeah.
You know, and what do such people do?
Definitely. And I think the other thing is actually is the way that people respond to people who are separated or divorced.
What's the,
you know,
gotta tell me
like,
about it.
you know, girlfriends out there, they're your fab girlfriends when you're married. They're your fab girlfriends. They love you when you've got a partner. All of a sudden you're free and single.
Sometimes they love your partner as well.
Yeah,
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
True. But you know, and then all of a sudden you're single and it's like you're a threat.
A threat to what?
To their relationship, like
to their marriage.
Yeah, because you're single, and so therefore maybe their man's going to check you because you're single, and you're going to take away their man, you know, and all their insecurities kind of like creep up. You know?
Then doesn't that become about their issue, and doesn't that become about them and their confidence in their partner?
Very much so, but society very much looks upon, if a marriage breaks up, it's always like, what did you do as the woman? Why couldn't you hold your house together? You know, it's not about...
Do you know what? You are so right when you say that, because I can remember when I went through that experience, I can remember a few people say, what did you do wrong? What didn't you do right? It was like hardly ever did anyone say, what did he do?
Exactly.
So you are so right. So do you feel that that could be one of the reasons why women carry the burden a lot of the time of divorce rather than the men? And, you know, the men seem to just get on with it, move on to the next person.
They do.
You know, I know there are some that do suffer because they don't want the marriage to end, but I think a majority of men, they just get on with it and move on to the next one.
Even if they didn't want the relationship to end, they do tend to be able to kind of like bounce back much better than women do.
Yeah.
And I think that again is about society. Society accepts that the guy is out there, that he is free and single, and it's like, oh, let's look for a new wife for you, someone to look after you kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas the woman, it's like, well, you couldn't hold your house together. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? You're kind of like a bit of an outcast kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a double whammy. The woman is dealing with the breakup of her marriage, the loss of what she thought was forever and ever, as in Mills and Boone.
Some of them, not all of them. A lot. Don't forget, some of them instigate the divorce and say, you know what, see you later.
No, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, you know, let me not even go there about that bit.
Well, you know what, maybe we could go there. What?
But, you know,
But wait. So when you say, let's not even go there.
You're so bad.
No, I know. No. But you know what? I like to be clear about what we're talking about.
Well,
when you say let's not go there, what do you mean by that?
Well, I personally walked away from mine.
Okay, so you don't mind us discussing?
No, I don't have a problem with that. No, I don't have a problem with it. I would say it to anybody, I walked away from mine.
Yeah.
And it was very much that, you know, you should have held on. You should have made it happen. You should have, you should have just like held it together and accepted whatever came, you know, no matter how much unhappiness it brought you, you know. And it's like, hold on a minute, this is my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're telling me to sit here and accept this situation, I've got another 50 years to go. You know, heck, I want to be happy as well. You know, I'm entitled to be happy.
Definitely.
So, some women do instigate it. I'm not saying they don't, but the problem is that society doesn't look at it like that. It's very much like, you know, you're a fallen woman because, you know, you have, you know, you've not been able to hold it together. You haven't been able to accept that men are men. You know, men have their ways, and so therefore you're supposed to just hack it like our mothers did.
But then tell me, imagine now that you are a divorced woman, or you have a friend who is divorced, and they feel would have been neglected, separated, you know, every negative feeling that is there for them to feel. What would be your advice to them?
I would say, you know, I mean, it depends on what the person's like. You know, if the person's like me, it's about, you know, getting up back, you know, back into society. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I made sure that my social life, you know,
did not end.
It didn't. Well, I made sure it started again, basically.
Oh, it had ended.
It had ended. So I made sure that my social life was on top.
So in that sense, that means that in your own marriage, part of you was taken away.
Part of me was taken
and
away,
you became,
and I resented it.
You.
I
Right.
did resent that. I did
Yeah.
resent the fact because I'm a strong, independent person.
Yeah.
And I resented the fact that some of that was taken away from me. You know what I mean? Or that I allowed it to be taken away is the best way for me to say it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I do think that, you know, I bounced back and I've made sure that, you know, I'm back with my friends. I spend time with people who I enjoy.
You make up for lost time.
I've made up for.
Hold on
I've
a sec.
definitely
We
made
have a
up for lost
call
time.
coming in. Sorry. Hi. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Hi. Who am I speaking to, please?
OLU Gbedu.
Sorry.
You are speaking to OLU Gbedu.
Hi, Gbedu. How are
Hi,
you?
Bedu.
I'm alright, you.
Gbedu, what do you think about divorce and women?
Yeah, I'm enjoying your conversation, you know.
Thank you.
And I love the way my sister. Hey, just let me say hello to her first. Hi, darling.
Hi.
I love the way she put everything in a little bit the way people supposed to have understanding.
Yeah.
Thank
And after I've been through divorce before, and I know it's not one of the good things you want to talk about,
Yeah.
but when it happens, it happens.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. And I could remember when I was going through my own madness.
Divorce.
I call it time of madness. My mom always said to me that it's only your wife could make the marriage work. No matter what you do, it's up to your wife to make it work. If your wife did not want the marriage to go ahead, there's nothing you can do. So, and I learned a lot from that kind of situation.
Yeah.
And I believe marriage belongs to the ladies.
Sorry, Gbedu, can I
Women-
ask you?
Why?
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
if you have married as a married person, you're a team. And if you're a team, that means that you need to be a team player to be part of that marriage. So if that is the case, why would the marriage belong to one person in that marriage?
Come again, I'm missing it somewhere there, please.
Okay, sorry. What I was saying was that from what you just said that your mum said to you about the woman being the one to hold the marriage together, my point is that a marriage is a team. To be in a marriage, you're part of a team. There's two of you in that marriage. So why should it be one person holding the marriage together and not two people?
You see, what I'm going to answer that question is that we men, we always say we are not guilty, yeah, and the woman always put the blame on us, one way or another. But when you sit down and look into it, our parents' marriage goes up to 60, 70 years. Why? Because they did not care what the man do to them. Even the man go and kill or sleep with woman, bring another woman home, they still say, this is my house and this is where I'm going to be. So if a man did not work out in his marriage, I'm not going to blame the man. You know, some of us, we work out that, no, I don't want this woman anymore. Yeah. I'm leaving the house. I'm going, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
But if both of them come to an arrangement that this is the end, yes, you must know that the lady can still control the house. And moreover, remember that the ladies we have in the 70s and 80s, they're different to the one we have now. The one we have now, they are the boss of the house. And if the man did not succumb for the lady in the house will not grow.
Do you,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that, actually, Gbedu. I don't. I actually think that the man still controls the house. And any man that I'm married to, if I control him, he's in trouble.
No, my darling. That's in 1970s. Now the ladies control the house.
No, when you say...
I can tell you, I have so many friends that are still married to tomorrow. everything in the house is being done by the lady in the house. Go and look at it. I'm not just joking. You know, I always call and make a joke, but this is not a joke.
But Gwedu,
If
can I ask
anybody
you
wants to
something?
stay in his marriage, he has to succumb for the woman to be the man in the house.
I don't agree.
Gwedu, you know what? I think, Gwedu, can I ask you something, though?
Yeah?
Now, I know you just said that, 50, 70 years ago, our parents were together, our grandparents were together, and they lasted because the woman succumbed to the man, yeah?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But don't you believe that everything in life revolves, gets upgraded, things have changed, and apart from that,
That's what I'm saying.
we have all made
I'm not
decisions.
arguing.
Sorry?
Listen, if I want to get married now, yeah, and I don't want to divorce anybody again, I have to say yes to my wife.
No.
I disagree.
It. So that she will have everything she wants to have. She will tell me to eat, I will eat. If she say do not eat, I will not eat.
No, Gwedu, that's not a marriage.
That's not a marriage. That's not marriage. And I wouldn't want a man who would have to succump to me.
No,
that poor guy will be in trouble. I don't want that kind of guy. I want a guy who's a strong guy.
Listen, my darling. Go out there and look at everything, every house, and look who is the one controlling the house.
I think it just looks like that from your perspective.
I'm not. If I'm saying, I'm on live radio TV.
Yeah,
just go out in this first nation, America, London, and look who is controlling the house.
Gwedu, do you think you are talking from your own personal experience, but outside there could be other things happening?
From my own personal experience. I'm talking from everything I've seen in this country.
Gwedu, my marriage wasn't like that, or maybe that's why it didn't work.
No, it was mine, actually. Okay, thank you.
Gwedu, thank you so much for ringing in. Thank you, Gwedu.
All right, then.
All right, then. Good night. Thanks.
Well, I'm not
Do you know
sure
what?
about that one.
No, I have to, and Gwedu, if you're going to call back, that is fine, but I'm going to have to disagree with him in the sense that I feel that if you're for a marriage to work, you have to be a team. For a team to work, you have to be able to work together.
Definitely.
If you can't work together, that's when the marriage breaks down.
Definitely.
Now, I understand the man is the head of the house.
Totally.
But being the head of the house does not mean that you are a slave driver or you are a master to a slave. Yeah. Being the master of the house just means that you're steering the boat, but you're still working as a team. That's how I see it.
I totally agree with you. That is how I see it. And I would despair if I was the head of the house. Then what are you there for? That is your role.
Hold on a sec. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening, Susie. It's Ayo.
Hi, Ayo. How are you, Ayo?
Hi, Simsala. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you so much for ringing in. Ayo, what do you think about women and divorce?
Well, I think it was really interesting Gwedu calling in because his view, I think, just highlights the sort of issues that women have, especially within the African-Nigerian society, because everybody believes that if anything goes wrong in a marriage, it's definitely the woman's fault. So which is why there's more of a stigma, I think, on women than there is on men when it comes to divorce. So just from what Gwedu was saying is that, even from what his mum was saying about a home can stay together if the woman wants it to, and which then implies that if it doesn't stay together, it's the woman's fault. So I think that is why women are tarred with such a black brush when it comes to divorce, because it's like a failure on you as a woman. Regardless of what the man is doing, you have failed. You're a troublemaker. You're the one who can't keep your home because you haven't stuck it out. So I think that is the issue, and that's the problem that divorce women have to face. Those sort of obstacles or challenges or hurdles that a woman who is divorced will have to face up to, especially within our
society. Yeah. Oops. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. No, Ayo, I think you're 100% right. And I think it is brilliant that Bedu actually rang him, because I feel that he's highlighted one of the reasons why women feel this stigma around them when they're in that situation of being divorced.
Yeah, because it's like an age-old theory that has been held, or concept, that no matter what you're going through, no matter what happens in your home, no matter what the man does, no matter what your spouse does, as a good woman, a strong woman, you will stay there, and you will be there, and you'll never walk away. And even when it's a case of the man walking away, a case of, well, why didn't you make him stay? And so it all still comes back down to the woman. You know, and you will hear these things about, especially when I know that people can get divorced for different reasons. But if there's something about infidelity, you know what it's like now. Men will be men. You too. Is he looking after the children? She's not beating you. Now, so it's that sort of attitude as well, as in, look, men will be men. Leave him. Let him do what he wants to do. You just keep the home. And so that is why I think women have a harder time. It's just the perception and the reasons, the perception behind. It's the fact that women have to keep the home, and if the home is, if there's a divorce, then it's a woman's fault. So.
Wow.
Thank you.
Ayo, thank you so much for that.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
My pleasure. Good. It's a good conversational piece, and I'm listening in, watching as well.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Beth.
Okay, then. Good night.
Bye.
Thanks.
See, that just highlights what I was saying.
Yeah.
And even, Bedu was saying that, that's a guy saying it. But our girlfriends say that as well, our female.
There are some women that
there
believe
are women
that
out
as
there
well.
that believe that.
Yes.
And so therefore, when you become a single person again, and you hit town is the best way I can say it.
I like that, hit town. Oh, yes.
People look at you with quite like, suspicion. Like
You're a tarred woman.
Yeah. And also, like, you need a husband, so maybe you're going to target my husband. Who says every woman wants a husband at that point in time? The woman is like, she's had her experience.
Yeah.
She wants to kind of like become herself again before she starts deciding whether she wants to be married again or wants to be in another relationship. But it's just like, everybody needs a man, so therefore my man may be next, and so therefore I better look after my man and keep her.
That's from the other women, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it looks like, from having spoken to Bedu, who highlighted some things, and having spoken to Ayo, it seems like you're fighting a losing battle.
Definitely.
As a woman who is divorced within our culture.
Definitely.
Let's be quite clear that right now we are talking about within our culture, because I think, like, I've got a friend who is English. She's a white lady. She's English, and she got divorced. Like I said, she threw a divorce party.
I had one too.
You had one?
I had one.
So
I had one.
Sorry, can I shake your hand?
I had one.
That's how... No. But do you know what? Sometimes I think you have to celebrate things, and you have to sometimes turn a negative into a positive.
Exactly.
To be able to move on.
Exactly, and that's why I did that.
Yeah, and you're ending that era.
I ended the era.
And opening another one.
Exactly.
One of the things that now I have experienced, I've had a few friends. You know what? The divorce rate is so high nowadays.
It is very high.
So many people are single. I think in 20 years' time, everyone's going to be old people living in a house by themselves, totally bored. Then again, they've got Facebook and Instagram and other things will come up.
But then
so they'll still be communicating.
Sorry to cut you, but there are many people who are now in their second relationships as well.
Third,
you know
as
what I
well.
mean? Someone third, actually. But, there are many of us out there that have kind of like been married, are separated, or are on the border of divorce, or are divorced, and are kind of like getting a second wind. And a lot of our age group are amongst those people.
Well, usually it does happen when you're in your 40s, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But one of the things that I feel that people should advise a lot of their friends to do, but they don't, is go for counselling. I feel very strongly that if you have come out of a marriage, and be you a man or a woman, and that was not a pleasant separation, because for some people, a divorce is pleasant. They see everything positive. But if you don't see anything positive about it, there's nothing wrong with going for counselling. you know, a lot of people think, oh, if I go for counselling, that means that I'm mentally unstable. No, it's not about being mentally unstable. It's about looking for a balance in your life. So I've said to a few of my friends, I think about 3 of them, I said to them, why didn't you go for counselling? And my friend was like, counselling, one of them. And I said to her, well, do you know what? I could actually counsel you. But to be honest with you, I would have a problem there because I could open wounds and I'm not qualified to close those wounds. Because at the end of the day, what a lot of people need when a marriage ends, I believe, is closure. Hi, sorry, we have another call. Hi, good evening. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Is that Gbedu?
Susie?
Hi, Gbedu, yes.
Yes. Yes. Did I hear you say you have a divorce party?
Is that what you called it? I did. I did.
So how many people were there?
A lot.
How many people were there?
I
lot of
invited a
people.
lot of people.
A lot of divorced people here.
Sorry?
What,
Oh, were
A
there
lot
married
divorced
people there?
yeah, all my friends came.
To celebrate with you for sending your husband away.
Sorry. Yeah, they came to celebrate for me. It wasn't about. God, I can't even get words out.
Gbedu, can I explain something?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Whether you see sometimes, you know, a divorce might be the best thing for that couple because along the years they've grown into 2 different people that don't gel together. They can't work together anymore. So what's the use of staying together to kill yourselves emotionally, to become unstable because you're not happy together? So when you now decide that, you know what, let's get a divorce, or one person decides.
That's why you have to throw a party.
Well, sometimes it's good to celebrate a new beginning or an end of an era.
To celebrate somebody you loved once upon a time. To send him away. I can't believe this. It's strange, man. Why are you guys taking this word too?
Listen, it was about me starting a new life. It was about me being reborn, and I felt that was the best way possible. And I wanted people who had supported me through the difficult years and times to come and celebrate with me that they'd got me to the end of my experience. So it wasn't like, you know, it's not like divorce is a fantastic thing, but it was about me.
Okay. You know what we have to be doing now? When we are born again, we have to throw another party for that one too.
I'll do that. I'll invite
As
you.
soon as you go to church and you say, Pastor, I'm born again, they have to call a party. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Gbedu, thank you. Thank you so much, Gbedu. No, but you know what? Seriously, I'm not going to lie. The first time I heard about a divorce party, I was in shock. And I think with time, where I've grown up and I've seen different things, I can now understand why some people do it. Because for some people, they need closure. Let me close that event for me to start all over again.
Yeah. That's what it was. It was very much. It wasn't like, you know, divorce is a fantastic thing because I really mourned.
Yeah, it's
you know
not a fantastic thing.
It wasn't
you don't
a
want it
fantastic
to go
thing,
bad.
but at the same time, I felt very much that people had supported me through some really difficult years, and I thought, yeah, let's go out there, let's paint the town red, and let's just like put it behind us, and that's what we did.
And sometimes it's a way of saying to people, I am now living a new life.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was.
Do you know what? Maybe if a lot more people celebrated it, they would, you know, I think it's about, for you to do such a thing, I think you need to be a strong woman. Funny enough, I've never heard of any men doing divorce parties before. Have you?
No, actually.
I wonder why.
It is only women that do it.
It is only women.
It's only
and I
women
think
that
that says a lot. If it's only women that are holding these divorce parties.
I'm not even going to go. That's not really. That's a bit worrying, though.
That men don't do it.
No, it's more worrying that women feel
the
able
need.
to do the need and able to do that. The ability to do that too.
Why would you think a man wouldn't do a divorce party? Most of it because his friends would say, are you being silly or something? Especially if they've got a friend like Bedu. Bedu will say, you okay?
I think guys would find that really difficult.
It's not a macho
to do.
thing
It's not a
to
macho
do.
thing to do. It's like very much they're their girlfriend. Let's come and hold your hand.
Well, I think, do you know what?
come
I'm
and make
sorry to
you
say, and
happy.
I'm not being feminist, but I think the reason why men do not do divorce parties is because a lot of them just move on very quickly. I think for the women, a lot of the time, not all the time, a lot of the time, it's a harder process because they're left with the children.
Yeah.
They are left with, a lot of men do their own thing anyway, and a lot of women, their lifestyle is wrapped around their kids with the support of the husband, and all of a sudden, they are now living the same lifestyle without the support of a husband. And I think that can weaken a person at times.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to celebrate it, to recognize it, and to help you move forward.
I think it was very much, no, it was very much about a move forward thing. It was very much about, okay, I've mourned, I've wallowed, you know, it's time to kind of like
Pick myself
out, dust myself down, which is a very big philosophy of mine. You don't sit around mourning for too long. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself down, and you get on with it.
Hold on, we're having... Hi, good evening. Hello? Hello? Sorry, sorry. No, exactly. Sorry, we couldn't, that call went off. But yeah, no, like you were saying, Simi. So, what would you say to women who think that their world has ended? One thing I want people to be 100% sure of, we are not promoting divorce.
Definitely not.
But at the end of the day, one of the things we are also doing is we are being very realistic.
And honest.
Because statistics at the moment say 50% of marriages end up in divorce. How are people going to deal with it? You need to find a way to deal with it.
You do.
You know, for some people, it scars them for life. And the thought of moving on to another relationship is like a no-no.
Yeah.
For some people, their whole life has changed because, like I was saying just before we had that caller, they're left with the kids without any support. They're shuffling work, kids, and everything. And so I think it's very important that others are positive around them rather than negative.
Yeah, I think
because it's already a negative situation.
It is. I think very much that, you know, you do need positive people around you, and it goes back to me doing that party, actually. You know, there needs to be positivity. It's a very dark place to be in. It's not something that I think that, you know, people should do lightly. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think it's the last resort. You know, it is very much like, can you live with this situation for the rest of your life, and can you be happy? And if you can't, then there has to be an alternative. And so, you know, I actually think that our society needs to be a bit more supportive of a woman in that situation, and less blaming of a woman who's not able to live with whatever it is that she's experiencing, because you don't have to live that life with that woman. You're not behind that front door when that woman goes into that front door. You do not know what she experiences. You do not know, because she may have a smile on her face every day and she may present as okay. You do not know what's hiding behind that. So if a woman decides to get divorced, it isn't on a whim. Well, most times, I think once in a blue moon, you know what I mean? Maybe like out of 100 divorces, I would say on a whim would be like 1%.
I think it is quite low,
It's very, very low. It's not something that a woman does lightly, because when you enter that marriage as a woman, you enter it that you're living there for life.
I think there's also that important side of it, that people have to get into this position whereby when they are giving another person advice on something, I'm talking about divorce now, you're giving them advice, you're not telling them what to do.
No, definitely
You have
not.
to always bear in mind that you have come to me and you said you want to do this and that. I can advise you on what I think you could do, but you don't have to do what I'm saying you should do.
Yeah.
Also, be supportive towards other women who fear for their life. The reason why I say something like that is I remember, and just like Aya was saying, I remember having a friend, and the guy was not coming home. 3-4 days sometimes he wouldn't come home, and she was just like, Do you know, he's never hit me before, but we are not happy because he goes off willy-nilly, does what he wants. He's obviously with other women, and I can't take it. And then one day she went to the doctor. She had an STD. So she decided to leave the husband. But the family actually ostracized her for that because it was like, hold on a sec. He only went and slept with other women, but you're still the wife. You're still the main woman. What else do you want?
What's your problem?
And I said to her, do you know what? Let me be honest with you. You need to thank God that it was
only an STD.
Well, no, HIV is an STD as well. But
I'm
what
not
he
thinking
gave her
along
was
those
not
lines.
deadly.
Yeah.
And I said to her, you know, you need to be grateful that what he gave you was not something deadly. And at the end of the day, if you did not feel safe in such a situation, you needed to move. And I remember one of my other cousins ringing me up and saying, Susie, you're advising her to divorce. That's not good advice. You should not give people such advice. And I was like, I need to be open and honest.
I don't give advice, actually, about stuff like that. I actually say, okay, I say what I've said already about the 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. My question is, can you live with this for the next 20, 30, 40 years?
Yeah.
If you can, then stay. If you can't, then go. Do you know what I mean? It's no big deal, really. You know, that's what I used to say.
That is another thing. Why wouldn't you give someone advice? If a friend came to you now and said, this is what I'm going through, and let's say she was going through some horrific things like domestic violence and stuff, so what would you say to such a person?
I would say that it's dangerous and that it will escalate and that you could die, and that 1 in 5 women every week die from domestic violence. So you have to consider that. I would tell her to consider the damage that it's doing to the children, to her emotional well-being, exactly, to all that. And I would say to her again, you know what I mean, do you think this is compatible with how life should be? If it's not, then you need to leave. So I won't actually say leave.
You just advised her.
Yeah, but I won't say leave. I can't say leave.
No. I would never in my life tell somebody to leave. I think that is their decision.
Say leave. I wouldn't ever say leave.
Then I wonder, why do we feel uncomfortable with telling someone to leave if the situation they are in is not safe for them? That's one thing. You know, why, if somebody comes to you and says, you know, I'm being abused, it's time for you to leave if you're being abused. But why do we find it difficult to give such a person advice?
Because of exactly what your cousin came and said to you. Our culture then says, you know, you're telling somebody to leave their husband, you know, that, you know, and people make out like.
But tell me, Simi.
That's a be all and end all.
But then, is that right? Is
no,
that right?
I don't agree with it. In all honesty, I don't agree with it. But then, you know, I'm coming from a Nigerian / British kind of like perspective.
Well, no, not British, Nigerian.
Well, no, that's what I said, Nigerian / British, because when I speak like this, people say, oh, because she was born in England, that's why she talks like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you were Nigerian full, you wouldn't talk like that. You would say she has to stay there no matter what.
Well, I don't normally say you have to stay. I just tell the person that, well, I don't want to be coming to your funeral.
Well, that's the same thing, isn't it? That's the same thing about giving statistics. You know,
I'm not coming to your funeral. You know, if that is.
Bottom line is, for me, right, you are entitled to be happy. Like you said, it's a couple. It is a working relationship. It is, you know, we are a joint body
entity,
moving towards the same goal. When that goal changes, one person has to stand back and say, does this still meet my needs? If it's not meeting your needs, then you have to think about something else.
But you know what, Simi? I actually say that you could have 2 teams working towards different goals. I might, you know, you might have something that you feel it works, and I might have something else I feel it works. But you know what? So long as both things are bringing money, and it goes into the pot, and it pays the bills, and we're still together as a relationship.
But that's still the same goal.
Yeah.
That's still the same goal. The pot is the goal.
The pot is the goal.
Yeah.
Is that what marriage is about? Oh,
well, no, it's not. I think it's more than that. I'm hoping it's more than that, or else I've had it, really. No, I think, you know what I mean? But whatever the goal is, if the goal is, like, we're going to have this fantastically fabulous home, then that's the goal. If the goal is, like, to make as much money as the couple together and live a spectacular life, then that's the goal. If the goal is to be in love and have lots of, you know, lots of affection and lots of, you know, support, etc., and emotional well-being. That is the goal. As long as we're working towards the same goal. The problem with couples, you know, that get to the divorce point is that they're no longer working to that goal.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you try and have a discussion, you can't bring that person back to the goal that you seem to have had in your head. But the thing about it also is that marriage is about agreements. And when people kind of like step outside of an agreement, so, okay, we've agreed that this is the path we're going to follow. Once you start thinking about, you know, once the path kind of like goes kind of like war a bit, and it kind of like goes on his head, it goes kind of like slightly like a Danfo going on two wheels, then it's kind of like it's not on track anymore.
It's not on track.
And so unless you can bring it back to track, you've got a problem.
Wow. Do you know, I think it's really, really sad, because I think two people coming together in love is a very beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't think that there could be anything more beautiful between two human beings.
Absolutely.
I think it's really sad, especially when they have kids, when it all falls apart and all of a sudden these two people that loved each other now despise each other. Well, I'm not going to use the word hate, because I think hate is too strong a word, especially if you have kids among yourself. I think despise, dislike.
You don't have to, though.
But
I don't. I have a good relationship with my ex.
You're lucky.
I have a very, very good relationship
You're lucky.
with my
I don't
ex.
have one. I don't mind, though. It's better like that.
It's just that we can't be married.
Is that awful? No,
no. Some people feel like that. Some people feel like that.
But no, and that is it. I think it's lovely when I have seen couples whereby they've decided to divorce in a very mature, friendly manner. And, you know, they've looked at each other. And I wish that a lot of couples nowadays would sit down and have that discussion. If it's not working, maybe we need to end it. A lot of couples need to start recognizing when things are not working. The blame game doesn't work when there's two people. The blame game just causes more animosity.
Definitely.
And more drama.
Definitely.
You know, if it's not working, it's time to go. Sometimes, and that could be painful on another person, because if one person is in love and one person is not in love, what do you do?
Yeah, I think you have to work. If you do end up having an ex, you have to work on being friends with that person. You have to work. I worked really hard. On that relationship.
Okay, when you say that, that is brilliant. When you say that, I agree with you 100%. When you break up, the best, especially if you have kids.
Yeah.
How did you do it? Because when you broke up, were you friends when you broke up?
No.
So when you broke up, you weren't friends. So how did you get to that point that you came together as friends after some time?
I think one of the things was that I stopped being angry. That was one of the things. I stopped being angry, and I looked at it for what it is. I looked at it for a relationship that couldn't work, that person couldn't meet my needs, and you know, and so therefore I need to not be angry about that. That's how that person's made dumb business.
Yeah.
And also because I felt that we had children, I felt very much that, you know, we have to kind of like try and make it work. And I just kept on, you know, he also worked on it, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He worked on it. But I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to continue a fight if I don't need to.
Yeah.
And so I refused to have any kind of discussion about what irritated me about the whole situation.
So once the divorce was done, that has finalized things.
Yeah.
But you have to recognize the fact that you are two mature adults with kids.
Exactly.
You have to get on.
You have to get on.
Because unfortunately, you have made an adult decision to bring kids into the world.
Exactly.
That means that you have an everlasting bond.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we do talk. We talk maybe about once a month. You know, maybe twice a month sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, and sometimes it's about the children, and sometimes it's just about, you okay?
Yeah.
You know, and that's it. You know, nothing more.
But then you make it sound easy.
It was not easy.
No, I know, but you make it sound easy, and that's what I just wanted to say, that because when it comes to divorce, a lot of people are full of anger.
Yeah.
There is so much anger within them, and that's why I feel that counselling works a lot of the time. I think if you end a marriage with a lot of anger in you, Because sometimes as a human being, you need to let go of somebody else's thoughts.
That's
And you need to see
being
them.
angry.
Yeah, you need to see them for who they are. You have to understand that that is them and their makeup. There is nothing you can do to change them.
That's very true.
But you have had kids with them.
Yeah.
So the communication needs to still go on.
Yeah.
And just like we have friends, because funny enough, I think sometimes we tolerate more from our friends than we do from our exes.
We do. And I kind of like learned along the way that, you know, a partner has to be a friend. I think we don't do the friendship bit when you've got a husband. And really and truly, the relationships that you see that work is because they're still friends.
Yeah.
You know, and I think if you lose the friendship bit and it's just like husband, wife, and, you know, you're my husband, I'm your wife kind of thing, and the whole ownership thing goes on, and, you know, and the whole family stuff goes on, and you forget very much about, you know, what brought you together in the first place, then, you know, it kind of like goes out the window. And that's what makes it so sad, and that's what makes you mourn a marriage when it's over.
Hey, have a divorce party.
Have a divorce party.
I think, that's why you should have a divorce party.
Yeah. For me, it worked. I
Yeah.
had the party and I still speak to the person. So, you
Does he know that you had a party?
Yes. But he just counts me as a crazy person, so...
That's what he loved. That's what he loved about you in the first place. No. Simi, I think, and I hope that people listen to this, because I think the aftermath of a divorce is what is very important in human beings.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes you don't realize it, but there's so much anger in you because of what you have been through. And sometimes when you're in a marriage, you can't control what the other person does to you. You can like or wish that the person would treat you this way or that way.
Yeah.
But if they don't, you have to recognize that you cannot control how a person treats you.
Definitely.
And so you make an informed decision from what you have experienced to move on. And so you need to be pleased with yourself that you are adult and strong enough to make such a decision.
Yeah.
And sometimes if it is taken out of your hands and somebody, you know, your husband, if you're a woman, or your wife, if you're a man, decides to divorce you, you have to be able to accept it. It's hard. It's easier said than done.
No, I think it's really hard.
It's hard.
And
It's easier
it
said
wasn't
than done.
accepted.
Yeah,
the person did not accept it. You know what I mean?
And that's where the
he
struggle
found
is,
it
isn't
so
it?
difficult.
Yeah.
And I was, you know, and that's what made him angry. What made me angry was the whole, I put so much into this. And
What about your families? How did that?
that was really difficult, actually. That was really difficult. And you do get ostracized. People do put you on the back burner. And I was quite irritated about that as well. But then I just thought, you know what, I'm getting on with it. That's your problem. I don't have to do this. You do not live in my home with me. And so therefore, you can't put what you want on me.
Yeah.
So that was really difficult. My family, they kind of like found it difficult at the beginning, but they accepted it because they had no choice. Again, people know how crazy I am, and you know, so therefore they just accepted me for who I am.
You see, listening to you say that makes me think of somebody who the only people close to them are their families. They don't have that many friends outside. And then all of a sudden they're in this situation and they're being ostracized. And as a woman, you still have the kids.
That's hard.
How does that?
I think that's the most difficult thing. And to be honest, you know, I had to kind of like, you know, I had close girlfriends, and I had close set of friends and family. But
I am so sorry to interrupt you, but you know what? I think this is one of the reasons why people need to realize it is very important that even though you're married, you're still an individual and you still have your own friends. You don't get married and say goodbye to your friends.
No.
A lot of people do that.
And I think that's a mistake, because it's unhealthy for a marriage anyway to be, you know, you're putting so much on that one person if you do that. You're putting so much
emotional
on that person.
pressure,
You're
everything.
saying that person is your be-all and end-all, and you're putting everything you've got onto that person. You're making that person totally responsible for your emotional welfare, and that's not right for somebody anyway.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
That's so not fair. But, you know, I was
you're
lucky.
you're not only doing yourself a disservice, you're doing the person a disservice as well.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that's what causes insecurities in people as well. And that's where,
Yeah.
you know, the guy can't go and have a guy's night out because the woman's so insecure.
Yeah.
You know, you have to allow.
Or he goes and you're at home moping until he comes back.
Yeah, well, you know.
Because you don't want him to offend him by telling him not to go out.
Exactly.
So you
But
let him
then-
go out, but you're unhappy.
Isn't that also a part of the conversation that you have to have? And isn't that a part of the rules and regulations that you laid down at the beginning? You know what I mean? And
I think-
if people change the rules, then you have to have a conversation about changing the rules.
But you know the problem there? I think a lot of people don't write rules. I think you just get on with it. I think most relationships, you learn the rules as you go along, and you learn them by what you accept or what you're allowed to accept, and you just get on with it.
But then that puts you as a guy or a woman in a situation where you are going to head for the divorce court because
So
you're
do
not
you-
going to agree.
So do you feel that...
I think that
before
there needs to
people
be a
get that-
foundation.
before people that get to that stage of marriage, they need to write rules.
Well,
They
don't
need
write it, but you need to have an
They
agreement.
need to clarify rules.
You need to clarify what you're
Yeah.
going to accept and what you're not going to accept. Because
Yeah.
if you say you're not going to accept something,
Yeah.
you know, and then you do accept it at the end
Yeah.
of the day, then you're kind of like changing the whole thing. Because we human beings respond to what...
But rules are made to be changed sometimes.
That's an agreement, though. We're in
Yeah,
a
you have to have an
partnership.
agreement.
We're in a
Okay.
partnership. Okay,
Yeah.
the sky's now yellow. We agree and the sky's now yellow. That's cool. You know
That's
what I mean?
a hard one. This guy
No,
don't
but
always
you know what I
turn yellow.
mean. You know what I'm saying? We've now agreed that this is
Yeah,
how it is.
yeah.
You know, because if you don't have that agreement, then you've got a problem. So yeah, if the guy suddenly wants nights out, then that's cool. You have a conversation
Can I
about
have
it.
some myself? But you know what, Sylvia? You know what? I've actually enjoyed myself. I've actually learnt as well. I do ringing kind of gave me an insight to how people think differently from me because I have my own way of thinking. And
Yeah.
obviously men see things different as women. Also cultural people see things different as well. So that was quite, Io just flagged so many things up for
She
me.
did. It was great hearing from her.
Honestly. So I'm going to say we've got a minute or so left. I tell you, it flies when you're
It
having fun, doesn't it?
doesn't it?
How would you like to close this conversation?
I would say anybody that's going through a divorce, if anybody out there knows people that are going through a divorce, support them through it. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult.
Thank you so much. And after going through this, I would also say that, do you know, if you come to that point of having to go through divorce, and it's something that you need to do, you have to do it. You have to get on with it. If that is what makes you happy,
Yeah.
you can't allow others to control your life because you need to remember at all times you're the one living your life. Also remember, I'm not advising anyone to get divorced. I don't want anybody to make that mistake.
No, don't
But
make
if
that
you
mistake.
Yeah, if you have to go down that line, you have to go through that process, you have to. And
Definitely.
one thing you have to do is not allow other people to make you feel uncomfortable because you have made that decision for yourself.
Very much so.
I would like to say a big thank you to everyone that rang in. A big thank you to Simi for being my guest
Thanks for
tonight.
having me.
Done really well because we were meant to have a third person here
Yeah.
with us tonight. I think we've done really well without that third person. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you guys. Good night. See you next
Night.
week. Thank you.
Badu Magazine, Africa's #1 magazine with the best entertainment in the UK. Essential information on business opportunities, latest happening in the entertainment scenes, student parties, house of worship conferences, and much more. For advert placement and business listings, we are equally your #1. Get your copy now at our website at badumagazine.com and various outlets in and around Nigeria, UK, USA, and Canada.
Kó máa tọjọ́ bí wọ́n ṣe rẹ́gí Badu magazine. Go and grab your copy now. Badu ni ẹ lọ. Badu magazine. Badu ni ẹ lọ.
It's okay to lose control.